Hi, my name is Dave Reske, CEO of Now Speed Marketing, and welcome to this edition of Marketing in the Now, where we talk about the best ideas in digital marketing. And my guest today is Marie Bahl, and she's the Chief Marketing Officer at Uptempo. She's had over 3 decades of experience driving growth for disruptive companies across energy, healthcare, education, cryptocurrency, which sounds exciting, and artificial intelligence. Marie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Really appreciate you joining. You've had so much experience in so many different areas, and you and I have been talking about many people's favorite subject this year, which is the role of AI in marketing. And I just want to start the conversation by asking you, what do you think is going right and wrong as we introduce AI into marketing?
Yeah, I mean, the 3 decades means that I was there when we launched the internet. I'm starting to feel dated by
That's all
that
right.
time frame.
I
But
I remember that too. That was an exciting time.
but every time we do launch a new technology, there's a hype cycle around it. There's a lot of uh, thinking around how we're going to use it. There's a lot of forecasting that it'll replace this, that, and the other. And I remember, the internet, during the internet phase, it was, everybody had a website, but nobody knew what to do with it, right? Retailers didn't even actually buy their own URLs. We could have all gotten rich, David, off the purchase of everybody's URLs. But so we're kind of in a similar hype cycle now. And there are some functional capabilities for AI today as they grow the LLMs, but there's still a lot we don't know about how they'll work, how agentic AI will take off. And, in particular, there's a lot of, companies who are thinking about ripping and replacing parts of their programs with AI, and we're just not there yet. So from a marketing standpoint, we've been using AI to augment our content effort a few years now, right? This is nothing new. We have teams that leverage it for first drafts or ideas around video. There's no chance that any creative could be replaced by AI today. I'm sure we've all seen the 6-finger videos that are out there. So today the suggestion always is we could replace core functioning marketing functions with AI. And that's just not the case. We can certainly go faster with AI, and we all do. But what's missing, and I've been beating this drum for quite a long time now. So I started my career in enterprise marketing, or enterprise software, marketing enterprise software. Uh, and early on, when enterprise software was deployed, it was kind of a huge effort, right? Everybody kind of stopped and said, hey, this function really has a lot of data we need to analyze. We need to give them something to allow them to work more effectively. Let's pause and bring everybody together and talk about how we can build this software. And then it was delivered with services, and everybody was well cared for. It was a 2-year rollout, right? And so literally the rest of the enterprise had went through that experience. Marketing did not. For a very long time, we were treated simply as a cost center. Give us 8 to 12% of revenue for the year, and we'll go, make things happen. And I think partially the reason we didn't get we're partially responsible for the reason we didn't get it. We do, a lot of people don't understand how marketing gets done, what the voodoo is that we do over there. They also latch on to specific programs like performance marketing or design, to stand for the whole. The reality is that, marketing goes to war. I use war analogies a lot with lots of programs, and they're wildly diverse. And we do everything from, media buys to digital marketing to channel marketing to product marketing and on and on and on and on, advertising, PR, etc. And what happened because we never had that assessment is that we never actually got a data backbone, the same data backbone that everybody else has.
Mm.
So we get our budget, it's hard to we kind of, deploy that budget globally, regionally, territorially, programmatically. And then our marketing leaders in those areas stand up execution. When the data comes back for how well that's performing, it comes back via a myriad of proxy indicators for ROI, for return on investment. It doesn't actually map back to the dollar spent. So there's no way, unless I reconcile 50 programs via a spreadsheet and a human that I've got working in marketing ops, there's no way for me to really validate the return on investment in a timely manner. So if we presuppose that that backbone exists and someone is reconciling, and that the best possible use of AI is across that data backbone, an AI that understands your brand and understands your category. So that's a pretty long answer to the question, but that's honestly where AI's value comes. An agentic AI that's trained on your brand and is able to gather the data that's been reconciled and interpret it then back to the C-suite.
So let's set aside, the content marketing pieces and the video pieces that are happening today and the creative that is, starting to happen and that piece. And let's focus on your premise, which is the data backbone and how
Yeah.
AI can support that. So has that been the domain of until now, until AI, has that been the domain of marketing systems, the HubSpots of the world, Salesforce, systems of the world? Have they been trying to aggregate all of these campaigns and systems into a data warehouse, or have other firms had tried to aggregate that to help marketers make sense of the return on investment in marketing?
No, no. I mean, the problem is twofold here, and I have obviously my theory for how we ended up here. But one of the other inflection points in technology, which listeners may not be aware of, but is pretty big inflection point in tech, was software being delivered as a service, so SaaS, right? The intention of SaaS, I was there when we made the intention, so I know what the intention was. The intention was to deliver it more effectively. It was a delivery model.
Hmm.
Prior to SaaS, we were shrink wrapping software and mailing it to people. So we thought, okay, well, this is much better. Let's put, the cloud came and we could leverage servers that weren't on site, and we felt that we could drive scale that way, et cetera, et cetera. So SaaS arrived as a way to address the attributes of scale that were required: security, availability, reliability, all of those types of things, redundancy, right? What happened is that the attributes of enterprise software disappeared. So now that you could put something in the cloud, you could address a point solution. So the result was that most other transformations in other categories, the platform for enterprise software arrived first. The ancillary point solutions that hooked into that platform arrived second. What happened in marketing is the point solutions, all 5,000 plus of them, arrived first, and there is no backbone. So you end up asking brand experts, right, whose job it is to think about marketing, to think creatively, to drive revenue through wildly, kind of diverse and creative efforts. You're asking them now to knit together their own Frankenstack that can interpret their effort and reconcile it to the only measure that matters to the board and to the C-suite, and that is the dollar. So for nigh on 15 years now, and with some of us screaming in the wilderness, we haven't been able to prove immediately, even though we know there's value in marketing. If you shut us off tomorrow, things would fall apart. The results has been that there's been a lot of finger pointing, right? So you get to the C-suite, you can't answer those questions, and everybody goes, well, you know, we just don't understand why they don't know what to do and how they can speak in our language. And I don't think that brands actually know they can fight back against that, which is to say, demand an enterprise, build it or get it or buy it from someone. CRM is built for sales and a little bit client success, right? It's there to kind of manage the customer journey from the point that they've decided to make a purchase. So that's what CRM is for.
So
Marketing automation stands for part of our digital offering. So you can deploy digital marketing programs through marketing automation. What about the rest of it? Advertising, design, PR, media buys, right? For some of those things, we run, in order to validate it, we'll run marketing mix modeling, which, by the way, is a report that arrives, a paper report or emailed report that arrives 1 or 2 times a year. That's analytic partners' claim to fame. 1 or 2 times a year, they'll run a model for you to prove that you're valuable. This is 2026. I don't remember, like, we don't even remember getting reports back in 1995. How is that the most bleeding edge reporting for marketing? It's just not.
So we've created, I think your premise here is we've created this mess in marketing because the point solutions arrived and there's no enterprise system for marketing because we're doing so many wildly diverse things from PR to advertising to from print advertising to digital advertising to, and then there's so many types of digital advertising to website management. I was just talking to a client yesterday, and they were just talking about their website and going through
Yeah,
the tech stack on their website
yeah,
that they're managing. And there's probably 6 or 8 different pieces of software that they're just
yeah,
managing that all tell them pieces of the story. There's an SEO tool,
yeah,
there's a CRO testing tool,
yeah,
there's like a Google Analytics, which is tracking some types of traffic. There's conversions, to SQLs, on leads. That's not part of like,
yeah,
and it's so many different systems. So your
yeah.
premise is that AI can be incredibly helpful in bringing all of that together and making sense of it at a high level. Is that what you're kind of
Mm,
saying? Is it,
There's
are
another
we
premise.
there?
Well, there's another premise that you're touching on, which, everybody thinks it's AI and a data lake, right? Everybody, like data lake. We haven't really defined what data lake is, right? Just run a data lake and a model and everything will get solved, right? No, that's not the way it works, right? Big data requires that you have data sets that are complementary to one another that have an intention set, right? So an AI trained on the universe is likely not going to give me the insight, and nor does it have access to the private data that I need it to have access
Mm.
to in order to reconcile or give me the insights that I need to make decisions. I mean, in spite of the fact that marketers do not, we get a lot of, finger pointing, but in spite of the fact that marketers do not have an enterprise backbone, we tend to underspend rather than overspend. And we still deliver for businesses. So shoestring, bubblegum, and duct tape, we're still making the decisions. So, stop pointing your fingers at your marketing team. They're doing a great job. But imagine the job they could be doing if they actually could see active campaigns running against one another. And an AI was deployed across that backbone to say, wake up in the morning and say, hey, you remember that campaign that we deployed yesterday in EMEA and whatever, I just saw in the ERP that the inventory that we thought would be there isn't going to be there. So we can repurpose that campaign, those campaign dollars to the more critical issue in APAC, right? Like those types of decisions we can't make, right? We cross our fingers, deploy the campaigns, wait for the information to come back a quarter later, right? We have an analysis and we're like, okay, we were really close, right? And so there's these conflicts that end up happening continually at the C-suite because of it. The CFO, but the flip side of that is the customers, our customers who have deployed this. So we are obviously offering that backbone. They're actually getting more budget, which is shocking, right? They can go to the C-suite now and say, hey, look at this value that I can prove to you right now. Even the non-working, by the way, and who branded that? Who branded some category of marketing spend, non-working spend? It might as well be a neon sign over it that says, please take this money away, right?
Right.
I don't know who did that. It's not non-working. PR is not non-working. Design is not non-working. Brand is not non-working. Those are all working dollars. It's just that we can't measure them effectively. We can.
Mhm.
We can
Yeah.
actually measure that to revenue.
So talk to me about the state of the art and how this works. So you've got all these disparate systems out there from
Yeah.
website to PR to marketing automation systems. Are we talking about hooking up an AI backbone to all of these systems, bring all the data together, or
Yeah.
is AI the tools leveraging these systems, gathering data, and then proactively bring insights and
How
decisions and take in workflows to the next level?
So the how the AI is crawling and kind of where it crawls to is a discussion for kind of the integration specialists, right? But the premise here is that there's a system of record or a system of record for the business of marketing.
Mhm.
That data, the data warehouse of information, which records the budget you've been given, it attaches back to the back end of the enterprise, reconciles to GL codes and all of the standard ways that you interact with an enterprise system. It then allows you to deploy in one system all of the resources to your varying execution methods. And then those execution uh, assets and sources bring information back into the system that system then reconciles that data. Now you have a data backbone. There's data that, quarter over quarter is recording, how your campaigns are performing, which you're performing better, essentially challenging your own insight and understanding and allows you then to move that around. An AI on that backbone can do whatever you want. So the main reason to have an AI trained on you is the technology way to the point that AI arrived and agentic AI arrived, gave you dashboards, right? I want to see a dashboard that looks like this and a dashboard that looks like that and a view that looks like this, and you end up in dashboard hell, right? Salesforce is a great example of dashboard hell. You can look at it any way you want,
Mhm.
but it still takes heavy lifting, and that's why there's a $2 billion business that's sprung up out around Salesforce to make it work effectively so that people can see the information they want. The joy and the great I think the great use of AI is to have agentic AI go find whatever you want to find, right? So you can query it, prompt it with whatever it is you're looking for, whatever your CFO is asking for, whatever your team needs, and it'll surface that information across that backbone.
So does in that example, does the dashboard business go away? Because now we're able to ask the
Yeah,
questions that we really care about, and that'll help us to make the decisions that are most important. So
yeah,
maybe we don't need all of that data. I think of the HubSpot dashboard that I've created. There's probably 15, 18 different reports there that I look
yeah,
at periodically that kind of give
occasionally.
me some insight. But I think what you're saying is what I really need to do is I need to say what campaigns are working this week, what campaigns are not working this week, we maybe reframe instead of dashboards, it's decisions that we need to make, and we need data and insights and
You
recommendations
can
from
ask.
AI to do that, right?
Right. Well, you can ask AI to give you, find out what's working for me over the last 2 quarters, prioritize it this way and give it to me in a spreadsheet, or give it
Hmm.
to me in a PowerPoint deck, or give it to me in a dashboard, right? AI can give it back to you in whatever format you want it to be. So it becomes an actual weapon. So I mean, because I feel so passionate about this because we're so far behind. I actually want us to leapfrog ahead because you can't do that today in HubSpot. You can't do that today in CRM. And I'd love to see us leapfrog those and be able to sit at the boardroom table, have a question be asked and prompt the AI with that question and have it return the information instantaneously. That's the goal.
Yeah. Is the fear then maybe for marketers that we won't be prepared for the answer, right? Because
No.
or is it
Listen,
how do humans adapt to
yeah,
getting all their answers met rather than having a static set of reports that I look
yeah.
at every month that I can prepare for the CEO or for the board? How do I prepare for a world where anybody can ask anything and get the answers they want?
That's the age we're in, instant answers. And quite frankly, as I said before, marketers get knocked all the time as, not financially or data savvy, and we're probably managing some of the largest data sets around without any help. So stop with the criticism. The instantaneous second that we get help, I imagine that these rock stars are going to become even more rock starish, as it were, because now they're going to have the insight. They're going to see right away where something might be falling down. I'd rather see it now than see it 2 quarters from now, right?
Hmm.
If the slow boat to China delivering my whatever is going to impact the APAC campaigns that I've deployed, I'd rather know now than know 3 quarters later when the campaign failed, right? We can also there's stuff that we're thinking about, which is benchmarking. So aggregating some of the information across market verticals and being able to benchmark against how others are performing in similar territories, right? Being able to see, okay, there's somebody else is having more success here. Maybe I deploy elsewhere and focus my efforts on gaining territory in another region or another area, right? We can bring in previously kind of siloed data sets from like retail, right? Bring that in and see how that's performing truly against some of our other digital campaigns, right? Find out the real value of a Super Bowl ad. Everybody in the world is always wants to deploy a Super Bowl. Let's do a Super Bowl ad. Let's find out exactly how that performed against everything else. So I'm not worried about, there's no fear around people be able to ask questions. You know, I'm excited for the opportunity to make better decisions.
Yeah, very powerful. So you're talking about being able to leverage AI to create an enterprise data backbone that brings all of the data together from these disparate systems and help you make sense of it. Is the state of the art that back in the day of enterprise software, and I started in that world too
Yeah,
many years ago. We would think about setting up the APIs and the data connections and bringing that back on a regular basis, setting up the data warehouse,
yep,
and then building applications against that and predefining all that. Sounds like that's all much easier now through
yep,
AI. So let's assume you can kind of build that enterprise data backbone. Is the state of the art now that with AI that we can have proactive recommendations coming out of that, or
yeah,
ideas or
absolutely.
insights, or is it
100%.
still more like the CMO or the marketing analytics teams need to study all the data you're bringing back and then try to make
I
inferences
mean,
and conclusions?
you and I are always the bleeding edge, right? Because we've been in tech for a long time. So I'm ready to I'm ready for my AI, my agent to be awake while I'm asleep. And I wake up and it gives me ideas about what I should be doing, or it
Hmm.
suggests something against plan. I'm ready for that. Most brands, they just want to see everything in one place, right?
Yeah.
Can we just do the basic thing? And I want to just apologize to the world that this wasn't offered up sooner. I mean, you and I are talking about is 30 years old, right? This is everybody else has moved to this format 30 years ago. And I think there's a lot of hand wringing over it's too complicated and there's too many different data sets. Enterprise software runs the energy grid. We send people to the moon, and the air traffic control system is run by enterprise software. It's not too complicated. Nobody has rolled up their sleeves to get it done, and it requires a lot of integrations, and it requires that people understand how to reconcile the disparate data sets that are coming in against different time horizons and the value of an impression versus a click through and all of those types of things, but the data sets are there. The rest of it is just enterprise heavy lifting, and we've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So it seems like there's a lot of marketing labor that's deployed gathering that data,
Yeah,
making sense of that data, trying to put some interesting reports about that data, provide some decision support about that data. So if you kind of made that easier, then
yeah.
marketers really could focus on making decisions, creating ideas, thinking about strategy instead
Doing
of,
our jobs,
yeah,
right?
right.
This 45% of our time where we're cobbling things together. Back in the day when I worked at Sun and worked with Apple, IBM, Telegen, and the rest, the way we identified a hole and the requirement for enterprise software was were there an inordinate amount of spreadsheets, 50 plus, were humans crunching information and were consultants making a lot of money. Those three things are 100% happening here in marketing today. I went to
Mhm.
an analytics conference for marketing and expected to see uh, software vendors. We were the only ones. The rest are analysts and consulting firms. And the fact that we somehow got here and nobody screamed at the top of the mountain, or at least not loud enough, it's just breathtaking to me that we got here without that happening. And I think we are to blame for certain parts of this. So I want to
Hmm.
take I want to take a minute to say we didn't do enough to explain our effort to others, and that's a huge problem. Because we don't, outside of marketing contextually, a lot of people don't have a clear understanding for how we execute our effort. And because, when it appears less technical to those who are on the outside of it, right? Well, just do this or just do that, or can't you just run an ad or do these things, right? So as we got a bunch of, call it unasked for advice, we closed ranks, right? We didn't show more. We didn't say, well, this is how it works, and let me explain these things to you. And honestly, I don't think others really wanted to hear the minutia of our effort either. But because we closed ranks and we never exposed the complexity, that meant that technologists who are not marketers, who are coming here, perceived pieces and parts of what it is that we needed to get done. And then the world would go, I mean, performance marketing is a great example, right? Performance marketing is what, 15-20% of anybody's marketing effort. They arrived and the rest of the world said, oh, we can measure it. There it is. The whole of marketing can be measured, and nothing is further from the truth, right? Or marketing and automation came about, and everybody said, "Oh, there it is. We can measure it." And then, for big brands, and I'm talking about RICP, so Fortune 1000 or 2000 and above, right? That
Yeah.
is not true. For smaller groups, maybe, but we allowed that to happen. Nobody jumped up and down and said on stage, "No, no, 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 no." That's not the entirety of our effort, and that can't stand for it. So we're partially responsible. So what I would recommend today is that if you want to deploy AI, or if you're getting recommendations, again, well-meaning recommendations. It was used to be buy a Super Bowl ad. Today it's deploy AI. Go say these words. We've been using AI to expand, the reach, or what is it? More rapidly create content for years. Now we need a data backbone, and stand in the fray until you get one. Because if you don't, the next step is they're going to start parsing pieces and parts of marketing out to other parts of the C-suite. So claim
Mhm.
your seat. Know the value of everything that marketing does and what you do to steward it, and get a software backbone.
Very powerful conversation, Marie. Thank you very much. I think that a lot of marketers will stand up and take notice of this. It feels like it's time. There's just hundreds and thousands of these applications out there, and getting a data backbone to understand the value and leveraging AI to make sense of it is an exciting opportunity. So, if any of our listeners want to connect with you, learn more about Uptempo, learn more about you, have this deeper conversation, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn at Marie Bahl McKenna. My husband's last name is token in there. Or you can go to www.uptempo.com and fill out a form, and we'll get back to you right away.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time. We'll put all those links in the show notes. I really appreciate this conversation. Thank you.
Thanks so much, David.